to the Starry-Eyed podcast. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Jen. On this show, we chat about all things Williams syndrome.
The ups and downs and what it's like living with.
And being a parent to someone with
Williams syndrome.
We're excited to share our community with you. Thanks for being here.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh man.
So yeah, Ben's just running around doing all the things.
Yep.
Nothing
That's
better.
great.
Nothing better than a car interview. But it's really warm in Colorado today.
It is really warm, and so I was like, I will do this interview in my car. I'm gonna multitask. This is gonna be great. Not great. Not a great idea, but that's okay. Now I know.
It was great. It was only just a couple little moments that
my phone was very angry, so then I had to drive to a shaded spot, and I've been like putting my phone at the air conditioner.
I wonder what was happening.
Yeah, that's what's happening. So you could if you guys are watching this, there's periods of time where then all of a sudden my hair is like winded.
It was very very like Lifetime movie. It was
I feel like I'm in a Lifetime movie.
Yep.
The hair, girl.
You asked how we were doing. I'm good. We had as you'll hear a little bit in the interview with Lisa, we had a reading last night of the musical The Girl Who Cried Different, read by Tommy Barbarella and Mariella Elm, who, obviously friends of the podcast.
Yes.
All of the music that you hear in this show is by Tommy and Mariella. So, it was really exciting to hear their music out of other people's voices and interpreted by other performers and stuff. And so it was really great. And I mean, Lisa's just an absolute, Tommy's a literal rock star.
Yes.
And Lisa.
That's all right, for sure.
Yeah, she's just the coolest. She's a rock star in her own right. So
I know. I was like, we should be friends. We should be friends. Why are we not friends? How has that not happened?
Well, we'll make sure it happens next time we're all together.
Yeah.
She's super cool. And you're super cool. And so super cool people, all of us
be together with super cool other people.
Cool together.
Yeah, collective super coolness.
We should be.
And our other
and I love Lisa.
Yeah.
I love Lisa, but I also love Seth.
Seth is so great.
Seth is amazing. I've known Seth for over 20 years, and he's we've been friends since day one, best friends since day one.
I'm trying to remember in the interview, did you guys talk about how you met?
No, we didn't. I did. I mentioned the ACM Lifting Lives music camp.
Yep.
ACM.
Yeah, before it was ACM Lifting Lives, it was, something similar to that. And then it became the ACM Lifting Lives camp. But I've known Seth for over 20 years. I was the one that hooked him and his girlfriend up when they were together for over 10 years. And, I played matchmaker at that point. And
matchmaker, make me a match.
Yeah. So Seth is a great guy.
Catch me
a catch. Yeah.
Yep. Seth is a great guy.
He's a good guy.
Honest.
Sometimes funnest. Sometimes when I met him a couple of times before, but this was the first time I actually got to hang with him.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool.
He's the real deal for sure. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, and that's what I love about him.
Well, cool.
What's your best memory?
What's that, Jen?
Sorry, I'm asking a question now. I've fallen down a hole. What's your best memory of Seth? Quick.
Okay, so it's funny. We were at camp, and someone either burped or farted really loud. And my friend John, who I'm still friends with, he turned bright red as his shirt, died laughing. Seth, and it was just a whole domino effect of everyone just laughing until they almost passed out. And then we went to bed, and then got up, laughed about it again. But no, Seth and I have had so many good memories. My one of my fondest memories of recent was we went out at the convention in Phoenix. His parents took me out and we went out for ice cream. But I'm lactose intolerant, so I didn't get anything. I just hanged with them, and it was really nice to just like kind of get out and away from like all the craziness that was at the convention and just spend time with them because his parents are super nice. And his whole family is really nice too. Oh,
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I think we should get to it because and always remember, farts are funny.
Hearts or
arts are
farts? 'Cause I
funny
can
and
only,
always be kind.
Farts are
only,
funny and
only
hearts are kind.
And
oh, farts
croutons
are
rock
funny.
the
Hearts
world.
are no,
That's
I've
going to
got
be
the
the
picture
next
today.
bumper sticker. That'll be the next bumper sticker for the WSA.
Farts are
Farts are
funny.
funny, hearts
Nothing
are
more to
kind.
say.
Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
go.
Williams syndrome. Williams syndrome. Williams syndrome. Williams syndrome. Williams syndrome.
Hello, Seth. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, my dear friend. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am Seth Benjamin Link. I am 35 years old. I work at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, which is a university hospital of Vanderbilt. I got into a job training program right when I was out of high school. I had it was either college or find something else, and luckily there was a program there for people with disabilities that had job training parts in the hospital. So I was able to interview and get into the program. And then from that, I did various things through the hospital. Both there's a children's hospital and a regular adult hospital, and I worked at both during my time training, but most of my time was spent at the children's hospital at Vanderbilt. I'm a supply tech, so I deal with surgical equipment, that kind of thing, making sure that the doctors and surgeons have what they need to fulfill their tasks as, an operation would be happening. You need certain amount of equipment and, things that they use on a patient, that kind of thing. So it's
How long have
been
you been at Seth?
15 years. I started right out of high
15?
school. Yes, ma'am.
Holy cow.
Been at
That
it
is
for a long time. Yeah.
Yep.
And October is National Employment for People with Disabilities Month. So I love this.
There you
I love
go.
this. I don't know if we knew that, Seth, but
No, that's exciting.
yes, it is. And I talk a lot about how great this population, people with disabilities, is in the employment space because of exactly what you just said, right? You've been there for 15 years,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's probably an industry that has seen a lot of change, and you get a lot of new people in and out, and
Yes,
you need a
ma'am.
lot of people in the hospital to make things happen and make people better. So
Right.
I think that is just another wonderful testament to the value that our community brings. So
Yes,
you prep surgical supplies.
mm-hmm. Yes. What I do is there's a thing called a case cart. And a case
Okay.
cart is a metal cart. It has shelving. It has, bumpers and all that stuff on it. And what we do is we have people that come in during the night, and their job is to pick what we call picking supplies, where you actually go row by row, section by section. Depending on the surgery, you have various items that you use to fulfill that surgery. So you have like everything, like there's some givens, like a cleanup kit or, some kind of safety, equipment that the doctors use, like gowns and PPE. So we supply all of that to the doctors so that they can do their surgeries.
That's super cool. And where's Vanderbilt at?
Vanderbilt is in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. So
Nashville, Tennessee.
Are you a
Tennessee boy.
You're a
Yes.
Tennessean?
Born and raised.
That's where
Yeah.
me and Seth met because we went to
Yes.
music camp together.
Yes.
Yep.
And
I'm lifting lifes.
yes. And they are the people, the Vanderbilt Kennedy Center is the one that pointed me in the direction of Project Search.
Yeah.
Which was Project Opportunity at the time. So I got to experience, I love Elizabeth and all those people that are there. They're just amazing. But they're the ones that kind of steered me towards that part of my life. And I am forever grateful for everything that they've done.
Yeah, they're great people.
So did you grow up in Tennessee, Seth?
I did. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that. Like what age were you diagnosed with Williams syndrome? And
I
like,
was
like,
I was diagnosed in the second grade.
okay.
So, and at that time, there was nobody with Williams syndrome that I knew. I was the only person that knew I had it except for my family, So school was kind of rough. There's a lot of bright spots, in having Williams syndrome and in the community that I am a part of. The reality is that nobody expects a person like me to be as accommodating and as, because school for me was a struggle, just like anybody else is a struggle. You had difficulties in learning, when you have a difficulty in learning, things aren't as easy. So you really have to put yourself in a place that, I need you to say that again. I need you to write that down. I need you to show me what I need so that I can understand it better. That kind of thing was a big eye opener to a lot of my teachers because, like I said, I was the only kid in public school in Gallatin with Williams syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you share a lot of similarities with my daughter Stella. She was diagnosed at 5, so actually just like right before she went into kindergarten.
Right.
And she is the only person in her school with Williams syndrome, and that's cool in a lot of ways, right? But then it also can be very hard, and
yes,
I think sometimes isolating because people
it was
understand the uniqueness that comes along with it.
right.
What things were struggles for you?
Finding friends, finding someone that would, understand who I was, who would say, you can't really do that to him.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody to stand up for me, even though I had teachers and other people that would kind of monitor how things were going, there was no physical or deterrent, so I had to stand on my own 2 feet for a long time and, kind of survive in a way.
Yeah. Were you in regular classes or were you in
I was in special ed up until 8th grade.
Up until 8th grade. And then what
Up
changed?
until 8th grade. And then I was able to get into standard classes. And I did standard classes all the way through high school.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So did you graduate with your class?
I did.
And
I did.
How was that? Going through and that's a big accomplishment and not.
Yes, I felt like a king. I felt like a king. I finally did something that, kind of was because the odds were against me the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember nights when homework would be 3 or 4 hours long and, you're tired and you're exhausted and you're you just don't want to do school. You just don't want to do school, but there it is.
Yeah.
And high school was really, really kind of the biggest part of my life. I loved high school. I loved being a part of the band. I was in, I'm a drummer, so 4 years straight in marching band, going from concerts to competitions. You get home late from a away game Friday night, and then you'd have to rest up and then get like up at whatever time to go do it all again. you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the season of my life right now, Seth, where my kids, Stella, my daughter with Williams syndrome, is 14. So she's in 8th grade. So she'll next year be in high school in 9th grade. And then my younger daughter is 11. She just started 6th grade. And we are like, I just drive people, things. That's what I do all day. And I do think you're right, though. I think it's really fun. Like middle school's hard because people are trying to figure out who they are. And,
Right.
And so everybody is just terrible and mean. And then high school, I hear a lot of people with Williams syndrome say that they like the high school experience. So band was a big one for you. What else?
Oh, yes.
Was good about high school?
My best friends. I mean, even though I don't really see them anymore, I grew up with a lot of my cousins and a lot of my, people I knew from, middle school and even elementary school. You lose that contact, and it's like, well, here I am again. Let's try to make this easy, and it's not. It's not easy to make any relationship like that work. But I was in one of the clubs in middle school, and that was cool. I did 4-H, so there were some really bright times in my life that I had, a sense of community and a sense of relatability and even, camaraderie with a lot of my friends that, still to this day, you'll see them out and about in town and they're like, hey, so it's really, really good.
Yeah. When you were in school, did you struggle or do you struggle with anxiety?
Yes. Very, very much so. It has increased since I was in middle school and high school. So, at first it was, the minor things, what if, and my parents and I talk about this all the time, they're not getting any younger, and one of my fears is that, what am I going to do when they're gone? But I have a backup plan because I have a brother and a sister.
Okay.
And they are amazing. They're really good people. So eventually I might end up living with my sister or my brother, and that would be okay, even though it might be a little difficult, because mom's not around or dad's not around, but a lot of my family is still here and a lot of my family knows about Williams. So
yeah. One thing I see a lot with my daughter Stella is that friendship piece that you were talking about. That's so hard for like everybody, but especially I think with people with Williams syndrome, because you guys are so bright and you're so outgoing and bubbly and you want friends, but somehow that is not reciprocated back. I don't know if this has happened to either of you, Brendan or Seth, but I've noticed with Stella, she started now, like if there's somebody at school that she likes, and she wants to be friends with them, but maybe they are not receptive to her, they just ignore her, then she will be mean to them. So then she will start saying I don't like you, or you're mean, or so again, she's in 8th grade. So, keep that a filter, but it's almost like she's trying to give them a reason not to like her. This might not make sense to you guys, but it's like she's going to break up with them before they break up with her. It's almost
Yeah. Uh,
a reason.
yeah. I go it about an easy way, you know. If you
You
like
know?
me and I like you, let's try to be friends, and it is what it is. If you don't like me, then that's okay too. I'm
Yeah.
not here to be liked by people. I mean, I am, but if you don't like me, then it's jokes on you, you
Yeah.
know? Jokes on
Yeah,
you.
that's me too. I don't know. I learned or I stopped caring about what people thought about me or what if or people did or did not like me, a
Yeah.
while ago. And it's just if people like me, cool. If people don't like me, that's cool. I'm fine either way.
Yeah.
I kind of learned that as I grew up, like not everyone is going to be your friend. Not everyone
Right.
has to be your
And no, and if they don't like you, they don't like you. So it's up to you to say, okay, well, I gave it my best. Let's try to be, and be kind about it,
yeah, yeah.
And that's the hard thing is accepting rejection in a gracious way.
Yes. Yeah. Stella does not
Yeah.
accept that in a gracious way. No, she does.
No, oh no, it's different. It's different, because, it's your positive energy, it's your likability that they don't like. It's not you, it's their opinion.
Yeah.
It's their opinion.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I always say like it's Stella, it's her anxiety manifesting itself in that
mhm,
way, right? Like it's
Right,
not something that Stella thinks because deep down she really wants that connection with people,
right,
but
right.
it's anxiety coming forward as like the front. And yeah, so Brenda, do you feel like your anxiety has gotten worse as you've gotten older, or has it mellowed out?
it um I it's mellowed out quite a lot. I
Okay.
mean, I'm still anxious about some things,
Yeah.
but I mean, Seth knows how I am. We know
Yeah.
each other for a very long time and
Almost 20 years. I
almost
mean, almost 20
going on
years.
almost 20 years. Yeah. And so he's seen every side of my anxiety.
Yes. And he has seen multiple sides of my anxiety for
Yeah.
sure.
So we're good like that. We've been through the ringer countless
Yeah.
times together.
Yeah.
But no, I'm pretty much in an even steady keel most of the time. But if it's
Yeah. That's,
anything like doctor related or dentist related or thunderstorm related,
yeah.
then that's a whole different kit and caboodle.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So generally about, I'm mild to moderate anxiety for me.
Yeah.
Life happens and you just got to be able to roll with the punches. And
Yes.
for people with Williams, it's like, it's not a negotiation. It is what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
You
things
know,
give you anxiety now? Seth, you were mentioning like maybe,
uh,
right? And your
well,
parents getting older, that's one.
yeah, loneliness.
Okay.
Loneliness has really severe anxiety inducing things. I have Crohn's now.
Ugh.
So, I got diagnosed with that in 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
So,
Huge anxiety
my,
for anybody. Yeah.
yeah, and that can like really, really ratchet it up. I
Mm.
mean, just, just talking about it really kind of gives me anxiety.
Oh, so we won't talk about it. We won't talk
No,
about it.
it's okay. It's
What
okay. It's
things
okay.
what things help you like with your anxiety now?
Music, music,
Okay.
music, music, talking.
Yeah. Calling me
I'm,
on the phone.
yeah, being somewhere where I know people are.
Mhm.
I love malls. I love like big crowded events. That thing doesn't scare me as much is the isolation, and the unknowing of what if something happens and I'm not ready for it.
Sure.
Right.
That's really like a trigger for me. Or if somebody's upset, I get anxiety when people are upset. And I know Brendan does too.
Yeah.
Like I don't like to be yelled at. and I don't like to be, fussed at or anything like that.
You
So
mean
it's
like
like,
upset as an angry?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a trigger for me for with my hyperacusis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like, please just try not to yell.
yeah,
Yeah.
It irks me.
Yeah. It's the
yeah,
same way for Stella. Like if people start yelling, even if they're yelling like in a fun way, it like ramps her up and then
yeah,
she can get really angry and
yeah,
trying to get people to understand that that's just part of it, right? That's part
yeah,
of Williams syndrome.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Brendan at convention. There was the last day and everybody's really upset. And so
yeah,
there was a lot of crying. And
yeah,
you were just like, I felt like that was really a strong point for you was
Yeah.
consoling people in that moment. So it must not be upset, like sad that makes you,
Right.
it's anger.
Yeah, no, and it's funny, like I myself was trying to not like lose it too. So like console people and then just like run away into a corner, or cry for people,
yeah.
and then like come back and console more people and just like go up to my room and just like have my own space for a minute, then come down and then console more people.
That's the beauty about Williams syndrome.
Yep.
Even in a group situation, we can fill each other out and we know exactly what's going on with people. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be a real positive, uplifting thing that, I think we're like, energy conductors. When somebody feels something, it latches onto other people and it grows and grows and grows and grows. And, yeah, even with sadness, like a really, really sad time for me was there was a accidental death of a friend. She was a cheerleader and everybody knew her. She got in a car accident and died.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of days where I'm like, I gotta get out of here. This is too much. This is too much. And I didn't even know her, but there were people that knew her that was like, I mean, you could just, we're feeling people. So
Empathetic people.
when we feel a situation coming on, it's like, okay, we got to do something.
Hmm.
Yeah. What do you do now? Like, so high school was good for you. You enjoyed that. And then it seems like right away you went into this program where then you got placed at Vanderbilt and you've been there, an amazing employee, which I love, as I told you.
Yes, ma'am.
How many hours do you work now?
Full-time
Okay.
employee.
Dang. Did you work up to that or just right off the gate full time?
They said full-time right out of the bat. So it was, yeah. I started working night shift in the OR. And yeah, that was stressful. Let me tell you, there were nights where I was like, I gotta find something else because this is not working.
Yeah.
And yeah, kind of that energy, right there. It was just right there. And I was,
That's crisis, right? So
yeah,
that's a lot of stress for,
yes,
I could not do that. So I have a lot of
yes.
people who can.
It was, and I was in the core, which is like the most serious, not trauma, but the most detailed surgeries were happening around.
Whew.
So I had to be like, I had to know my supplies. I had to know what rooms they were going to. I had to, fill out information. I had to see where something was. And this was all like 2 or 3 hours a day up in the OR and the core. And luckily I got time away from that area where I was doing other equipment related, job related jobs.
Yeah. Does work make you stressed or have you noticed, are you able to handle more stress at work and not as much stress personally?
Where I work now is very, very calming.
Oh, good.
It's very open. There are people around me all the time.
Oh, yes, I bet you like that.
We are expanding our reach within the area. So we're technically trying within the next 4 to 5 years to open up so we're just one part of a bigger building.
Mhm.
So we're going to expand that to fulfill more needs at the hospital. So Vanderbilt is like, we have little clinics and
Mhm.
like little offices throughout Tennessee. So our reach is bigger than most hospitals. So we try to do all things that we can. Like we have a clinic in Hendersonville or a clinic in Murfreesboro, and we have truckers, people that drive trucks. We build the case carts there,
And then
and we
you
send,
take them.
and then they'll take them to where they need to
Okay,
go.
that makes sense.
So
In general,
we have
oh, sorry, go ahead.
about 4 or 5 people that just drive trucks all the time. That's all they do is drive trucks.
So you're not doing stuff just for your area of work, you're doing it for
Right.
the whole organization.
Yes.
Do you have in your department, are there other people with disabilities that work with you? Or are you the
I'm
only
the
one
only one as of right now.
as of right now?
I'm the only one. They do send people from Project Search over to the hospital and in my area, and they try to, teach them how to do things. And so far, it's just kind of been temp work,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
no real significant hiring on.
Yeah. Are your coworkers supportive of you?
Yes, yes. There's a few rotten apples.
They're always
But they've learned not to do things and say things.
okay.
So in a professional way.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, what do you do outside of work? It sounds like music is still very much part of your life. Do you still paint and stuff?
Drums.
Drums. Okay.
Drums. Yeah. I love traveling. I
Ooh.
love being in a different place. I love, experiencing the world differently. I've been to England. I have been to India. I have traveled to, for the conferences. There's places even in Tennessee where I would love to go.
Oh, yes.
Like Tennessee's known for their small towns, and there's a lot of small towns in Tennessee.
Yep. They're
Yeah,
beautiful. Tennessee, I think, is
yeah,
one of the most beautiful places.
it is, and we've got great people here. We do. It's we're called the volunteer state for a reason. We have good people that whenever a crisis strikes, we're going to be there.
Yeah.
It's just part of the heart that Tennessee does have.
Are you going on the cruise?
I am foregoing the cruise.
Ah.
I am not going, but I will definitely be in
Oh,
Buffalo, New York. Definitely, definitely, definitely.
Brendan just was there. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
The only significant reason I'm not going on the cruise is because I don't want to get sick when I'm there.
Yeah.
I think I would kind of like it.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, being away from home causes me anxiety.
For sure.
So,
So home is a big source
yes,
of calm for you. Okay.
yes,
And do you live with your parents?
I do.
Okay. You like that?
I love it. I have my own den. I have my own bedroom, and I'm a gamer, so I'm playing PlayStation games all day on the weekends. I also work out a lot.
Nice.
So I'm pretty healthy right now.
Yeah. Full-time job, gaming, working out. That's your week.
Yeah, and drumming. And my grandparents live on the other side of the road. So like if I'm when I feel like really, really bored, I'll just go over there and see them. And it makes me happy because, they're my mom's mom and dad.
Okay.
And they're amazing people. I also love fishing and nature. I'm a big fisher. nature kind of guy. I love walks, hiking, camping is a big thing for me. I love camping. Just being outside doing something that relaxes me, I think is a real, I don't like hotels. I don't like being, I don't like being cooped up in a room all day. That's not fun.
No, no.
I like to be productive and I like to, challenge myself health wise and, get stuff done. I also have two adorable nieces that are, one is with us right now. Her
Okay.
name is Lula, and then I have another niece coming tomorrow. Her name is Prefula, and she's the 2-year-old or the three-year-old. So they require a lot of affection and attention from Uncle Seth, and they give it. They get it.
Who give it? I
As
bet
they
you
should.
do. I bet you
Yeah.
do. I bet you're the favorite. The favorite
Oh
is
yes,
uncles or no?
yes.
Yeah, you're
There are some questions that hopefully I will not be able to answer.
That's okay. Well,
Um,
as we're wrapping up our time,
yeah.
or not, it goes so fast, doesn't it? Like
Yes, it does. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
talk
no, I
to
do.
you all day because you're so sweet. What do you want the community to know? Do you want them to know anything about you, about Williams syndrome, about working with a disability? And October is also bullying prevention month. So
Yes.
you want to talk about their
I'll talk more. Yes. I think anybody that has Williams syndrome should be able to have a safe environment to grow up in, to
Yes.
have a education that does not hinder them in any way, that they will be able to learn and, be successful. And it's not hard to try something. Do not be afraid of who you are. Don't be afraid of what the world might make you think you are. You are human. You are beautiful. You are hard working. We want to be accepted and loved just like anybody else. Just give us a chance. Just give us a chance to be someone that you can relate to, that you can love and care for. And, give us a reason to be here. Give us something that, we can stand our own 2 feet. We are the most kindest, harmless, gentlest people if you let us be. If you let us be who we are, let us be the light in your life. Let us show you how life should be. Just give us a chance.
Man, I love that. That's so good, Seth.
Yeah,
Fire.
Fudge.
I mean, I think that's it. I think you just did it.
Alrighty.
Mike, you just mic dropped
Mic
it.
drop, double mic drop.
Yes,
Boom.
double mic drop. Gosh, I love chatting with you. You're so
Yeah.
sweet.
Oh, thank
He's
you.
a good dude. One of my best friends for sure.
Best 20 years, you guys. That's a long time.
I know.
Friended one another.
Yeah.
Cheers to 20 more, right?
Yeah. Hey, buddy. We're in for the
Hey,
long
buddy,
haul.
buddy. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing great, Brendan. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. So for those who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure, sounds good. So first, I'm Lisa Elm. I'm a mom of 3 kids, one of which has Williams syndrome. She's my middle child. Her name is Mariella. You've probably met her, hopefully, at one of the conventions or music camp. So Mariella has Williams syndrome and she's 18. I also have an older son who is 26 and her younger sister is 16. Her name is Mia. So my husband is Tommy Barbarella. I think he and Mariella have both been on your podcast before, so I believe you've had an opportunity to meet them, probably in person, but if not, at least on the podcast.
No.
And let's see, for fun, I guess, for work, I'll say, I just took a new role working for Pacer Center and their National Bullying Prevention Center as of July. Prior to that, I was part of their board. So I've been receiving Pacer services ever since Mariella was 17 months old. So it's a organization that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm excited to be able to, help out all children, including those with disabilities, navigate the difficulties sometimes of school and communities and just friendships and worrying about those components of bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny because we were just talking when we got on the podcast that we've probably seen each other in passing and never formally introduced ourselves because, in the harriedness that can be convention and camp, I'm like, that's just Mariella's mom and I'm Stella's mom, right? So
Exactly. So true.
Sometimes if I'm talking to people, I only do it a couple of times. There's people that I do it with, but I'm like, I'll just call you whoever, like Mariella. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, because you're Mariella's mom. That's how I always refer to you. And it's funny when we get to step away and have our own identity. And I love what you're doing with the Pacer Center. So you've been on the board. Tell us about how you got involved with Pacer Center. You said you were using their services, but for those who don't know what kind of services Pacer offers, share a little bit more about that.
Sure. So Pacer Center has been around since 1977. Founder recently passed away, but she was just a strong advocate for children with disabilities and really organize this from a grassroots effort to become really the champion for children with disabilities. They do a lot of work nationally from a government standpoint as well in terms of policy. So Pacer is well known, not just in Minnesota, but I think across the nation as well. And then there's also this national component, which is the National Bullying Prevention Center that I'm a part of. But Pacer really is aligned with three different components. And the first is education and ensuring that families have parent support and advocates that can help them navigate the very difficult system that sometimes districts place on them, and just making sure that they have the resources that they need and the advocates and support that they can get through an individual education plan for their son or daughter. They also have assistive technology programming so that people can really be elevated and have the same experience if possible through technology. And then there's the social inclusion programs, which is what I really lead up. And it's not just the National Bullying Prevention Center, but we do a puppet program that's for elementary ed children, as well as a teen program that's kind of unified, but it's called Fun Times. And they do social components with unified, both kids with actually teens with disabilities and without, and just organizing fun social events on a monthly basis throughout the school year.
Oh, that's very cool. That definitely reminds me of Best Buddies. Have you ever? Yeah,
I have heard of Best Buddies. Yes.
Yeah. I've been a part of that for well over 20 years now.
Awesome. Great organization.
That Best Buddies definitely saved my life for sure.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was bullied quite a lot, and it was not fun, but it's another example of a great organization,
Absolutely. Mariella did a couple things with Best Buddies locally here too. So there's quite a presence nationwide, right? So that's great.
It's international. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this will be unsettling for viewers of this podcast who just suddenly saw Jen pop off and then suddenly I'm here. But hey, that's just the way it goes.
That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Indeed. How did that journey go from receiving services, joining the board, to suddenly you are now part of the Pacer organization and working nationally?
Yeah. Do you mean my journey or how that all came to be?
The whole smash.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Start from when you were born. No.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, some of it came back to, really feeling that it was just like yesterday when we experienced Mariella's reading last evening, started out, really when we received a diagnosis, Mariella was 17 months old. So the first thing I did was go across the street to my neighbor's house who has a child with autism, a few years older than Mariella was at the time. And she said, you just need to call Pacer Center. And I said, okay, I'll call Pacer Center. So I did, and that was really the first connection I had to an advocate who really walked me through what I needed to do from an early childhood education standpoint. And we started getting services for her on a preschool level, when she was, probably less than a month later. So that was great. That was my first experience with Pacer Center. And then throughout the years, Mariella did a Teens for Tech for girls. It's called Excite Camp. And that's just something that when they're in middle school, they get to navigate technologies and different organizations that were really science-based and STEM-based here in the Twin Cities. Supported that, and they did a camp, and that was another opportunity for her to just experience other things that she might not have been able to go to a science camp necessarily at a middle school age, and she was able to connect with other kids with disabilities. And they had everything. We had IEPs reviewed there. We had I went to a lot of different transition to adulthood webinars and in-person, community presentations, things like that. So it's just a constant resource, not just for people in Minnesota, but, nationwide. People can tap into their resources. There's webinars that are being recorded all the time, post-COVID and everything. So really a lot of information at your fingertips.
Yeah, I am involved in a parent organization similar to Pacer in my local community. And I definitely use a lot of the Williams syndrome resources. But as Stella has started to grow older, I've noticed that I do need to be more connected to my personal community at large. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's been great because I've been able to get assistance with IEPs. I've been able to go to educational seminars where I'm learning how to be the best advocate for Stella and our community. And probably most importantly, Stella has been then connected to friends, right? Friends with disabilities in the community who, she can share commonalities with. So I can't stress it enough. If people are not a part of one in their local community, it sounds like Pacer is national. So there's a national opportunity there, but then there are lots of small ones. So seek those out, or if you need support finding those, just let the Williams Syndrome Association know. So did you start in parent advising, or how did you then get to the point where you're on the board and then taking this huge role of bullying prevention?
Yeah, I never did the parent training or parent advocacy work for them. I was just a recipient of services for Mariella specifically. So I knew of Pacer over the years. It was actually at that Excite camp that she went to as a middle schooler that I was able to hear the founder of Pacer speak, and I was just very moved by her. And as we were leaving that afternoon, it was actually early evening, and she is, I don't know how old she was, but I thought she might want to retire at some point. And there she was working in her office, and I just popped in and said hello and thank you for everything that you've done. I guess in some ways I feel the same way about Terry Mancava, when I think about these grassroots efforts and the passion that and desire to improve people's lives. That's the feeling I had when I walked in there. And so I just said, let's grab coffee sometime. I'd love to learn more about your story. And so we did that maybe a couple months later, and I went with all kinds of questions. I was doing corporate social responsibility for an investment company for many, many years. And I was really seeking out just corporate social responsibility, ideas, how to do more within the community. And the next thing I know, I barely got a question in, and she was asking me all the questions, and then asked me to be on the board in the same copy sitting. So that's how I became a board member. And then I did that for 5-6 years. And then made just a career change to do something in nonprofit just because it's where my heart is. And I feel like it's a good time in my life to just kind of transition to something really meaningful for the last, I don't know, third of my career.
Yeah. Boy, we share a lot of similarities. Our stories are very similar. So tell us about this bullying prevention initiative that you are heading up. October is I'm going to maybe get it wrong. Is it National Bullying Prevention Month?
It is. Yes. Every October, National Bullying Prevention Month. So that was started by Pacer, founded by Pacer in 2006. And it really came through a parent phone call that someone took and recognized the repeated bullying experience that this person had and really recognized the need to do something more. So they received a grant and started the work. And really, our resources for National Bullying Prevention Center are all online. You can download student action plans of how to take action immediately. And everything about it is about bullying prevention because we recognize it's behavior and behavior can change. So we don't necessarily say anti-bullying. I mean, we are trying to stop bullying, but it's really starting at a prevention level and awareness. So that's really where we're geared in terms of our resources. But there's an entire website with loads of information. We have 3 different sites. One's really directed towards kids. There's a whole nother section for teens. And then if you go to just pacer.org/bullying, that's our main page, and that's for parents. So it will really walk you through step by step the best practices of how to approach bullying situations, whether it's a target, your child is a target, whether they're, the one that is doing bullying or simply a bystander. And there's something that everyone can do to take action to help prevent it.
Can you talk a little bit about specifically about Unity Day and how we can continue to spread that message?
Yes. Well, there's, 3 pieces. I mean, Unity Day is the signature event of National Bullying Prevention Month. What's so cool about that is people just know, like, you wear orange. You wear and share the color orange. So we have an official Unity Day T-shirt that comes out every year. I really love the one this year. It's a word cloud, and all of the words that are within the cloud are all representative of what it means to be unity day, unified. And it really is about kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. And those are really what we try to promote on that particular day. We have a hashtag that you can use when you wear orange. It doesn't have to be our official T-shirt, but if you do, you're supporting Pacer's National Bullying Prevention Center through the proceeds of that. But wear orange, share orange, color orange poster. You can pretty much do anything. We have an entire Unity Day guide on our site too that really can get not just individuals, but communities, sports teams, your school, all involved. And it truly is a national event. So we just say, take any sort of action, one small thing to be promoting kindness, acceptance, inclusion, and to prevent bullying. So many, many ways just by going out to our site. Again, pacer.org/bullying. There's a whole section on Unity Day. There's a whole section on Unity Day guide and lots of ideas of how to promote it.
That's awesome.
Even it's touched on a little bit in the musical, The Girl Who Cried Different. Sometimes even just saying hello and that vulnerability that it takes can be difficult, but it's really rewarding. It can be really rewarding.
Yeah.
So.
Completely. The crazy thing about that is, this role just kind of showed itself. I didn't even know that this particular role existed at Pacer when I was meeting with another board member just for some ideas. And, when I think back on really parts of the musical that were really geared about Mariella in middle school and some of the experiences she had and witnessing, seeing, being a target of bullying, to come kind of full circle in a way that that's being revealed through just being able to do the musical, share the musical. And then my recent role, it's a little serendipitous as if, really this was meant to be. So I guess I'm just kind of owning that at this point and taking it and running with it. And, I'm loving every minute of it so far.
Would you mind share? Oh, sorry. Would you mind? I'm sure Joel told you I'm having a hot mess express with my phone, so just don't mind me over here. It's just multitasking at its finest. I was going to ask you, would you mind sharing, more about any bullying that any of your kids or Mariella experienced, and what resources you're specifically seeing that are offered through this program that might be helpful to parents or was helpful to you?
Sure. Thankfully at Mariella's school, they have an amazing counselor that she became very connected with, and they really navigated that, well. The understanding that, the kids that were at the time not, just they all have their own concerns and issues, right? So if there is, I've heard too, even if you are a recipient of bullying, 2 hours later, you might be the giver of bullying. It's just such a vulnerable time for kids in middle school. With Mariella specifically, back then I didn't really know I knew that PACER existed, but I didn't really know how much there is in terms of resources, and really didn't know the first steps of how to even navigate that. I'm going to switch gears a little bit to my high schooler, and I just, everywhere I go and I start talking about it, people have an experience with it. 1 in 5 children are bullied, and that's just a huge stat. So somebody, or of somebody, or a friend of a friend, maybe your own children, maybe you were. I've heard so many scenarios of different, people all ages, including adults, and the trauma that exists, as an adult. It takes a long time to get past some of those social, emotional, and traumas that people have experienced. But I guess back to your point, Jen, I was just, with my own other daughter, who, is in high school in a small, school that she didn't necessarily come up with growing up through K-8. She kind of started into a new high school. And there have been, rumors, and there have been things that just have been completely untrue. And the more I talk to people, the more I recognize how prevalent it is. And honestly, I had already taken this role, and one of the very first things I had to do was research, what to do as a parent. And here I am in a role trying to be a subject matter expert, but I recognize, I'm not exactly there. And I'm okay saying that out loud. And I really did take the resources that we had. And it's really a testament to what the prior founder of National Bullying Prevention Center has done in terms of providing resources and having them available to anyone at any point in time. Just go out there 24/7, and we read through it together, and we identified a plan. And so much of it truly is about ensuring that it's not, top down. It's not going to be a teacher, principal, or a counselor, or a parent that's going to tell you what to do or fix the problem. It really has to come from within. And that was the biggest takeaway that I had, is just really supporting, the child, but allowing them to have the power to make the decision of how they want to move forward. Obviously, you'll need the supports of the school and the parents as well, but there's really step-by-step guides on how to address that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. One thing that I am seeing, so Stella is 14, and so there are people at school that she's really interested in. I can tell that she wants to be friends with them or connect with them, but they are they do not, right? And they are not being unkind. They're just ignoring her. And because they're ignoring her, then Stella is kind of being a bully to them. And I was interesting because I can see that it's her anxiety, right? Any connection is a connection. So right. I think maybe that's one way she's trying to do it. And so I'm recognizing that it's her anxiety that is doing that. And I'm also recognizing that maybe that's her way of realizing that she doesn't have a connection with them. And so she's, again, like grasping for something. And, it goes back to like, even for, a typical person, I always say to my other daughter who's 11, I'm like, if somebody is like making fun of you or doing something, it's not about you. It's like within, right? It's a reflection of like an insecurity that person has around that
Right.
subject matter. And it is hard when you're young to see that, and obviously to know that that's happening, whether you're bullying somebody or somebody is bullying you. But that's really what it centers around, is an insecurity that you need to work through.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, Jen. I do think they're all navigating, where they are in time, where they are in space, the social status, and how that comes and goes. And I just think it's so difficult for kids to grow up, and it's always been and always probably will be. And I guess just recognizing that there are supports and just being really in tune, I think, too, with your children, checking in with them more than just like, how was your day? Fine. Oftentimes, I know a lot of our kids with Williams syndrome wear their hearts on their sleeves, and they will share a lot of things, but sometimes it's hard to get some of the details out, and it's really unclear of how they perceived something. So I do think when I think back to middle school, for Mariella, I do think that some of that was just her ability to articulate at that age when there's an emotional experience happening, that you really need to break it down in small segments, and really probably getting, involved with the counselor just to try to understand the situation better. One other thing I noticed too, and this is another situation, I think, kids don't know how to navigate their feelings or fears, or people with and without disabilities. So I think in one situation, some of that isolation that you were speaking to, I found myself in one situation where I know my daughter was maybe isolated or, set aside in terms of not being included in some things that she was included on historically. And I found myself at I think it was just a open house or something with other parents of these girls that I thought, had probably known about the situation. In reality, I just was starting to just be really truthful and transparent with how I felt. And she asked how things are going for Mariella this year. And I said, well, I think okay, probably could be better. She's not really connecting with the same friends that they were last year as much, and she didn't even know about it. And it was through that conversation that led to another conversation. And she said, I'd really like to talk to my daughter about this. And because, her daughter needs assistance too, and just navigating friendships and relationships. Fast forward 3 weeks, they've had some conversations. They actually got together and did something as a group again. And so I think it's just really being open to the conversation and sharing that if there's anything that doesn't feel quite right, without assuming certain things, which is exactly what I caught myself doing as a typical parent. You're always going to try to you're always going to see your own child's side. And I think it's important to kind of step back and, be open to having a broader conversation in all our spare time. Right, Jen?
Yeah. And seeing both sides of the coin,
Yeah.
That's a great point, Brendan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's totally true. Well, and so I think I could be wrong, but I think Tommy was telling us that isn't that one way that you guys were realizing that this songwriting was an outlet for Mariella to get some of that out? Is that what I'm remembering?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And they kind of touched on that a little bit last night in their Q&A, I think, Joel, if I remember right. But I think Marielle had some frustrations because she wasn't getting some of the roles and the musicals that she had been trying to get. And she loves singing. What child with Williams syndrome doesn't love music and singing? She was not very pleased with some of the roles she was cast. So when they started, when she was in middle school, they started just playing and singing some songs at the piano. And I think she came home from rehearsal and she got cast something again she wasn't really excited about. And I think in that moment, Tommy just said, well, let's write our own musical. And so they started just sitting down and he was allowing her to just kind of talk about the day. And he would lay down some parts, musical parts on the piano, and she would start singing. And really, so many of the lyrics to those songs that are, being performed today are from when she was in middle school.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the musical, and there's an element to this, I'm sure, in reality. The reason why Mariella wasn't getting cast in the roles that she probably should have been wasn't because of her talent, because it feels like there was an assumption that she couldn't handle a larger role. So she was, she was just getting cast in these small little parts because the assumption was, well, we're not going to cast a person with a developmental disability in a big role. So, so that's why sometimes when the roles aren't there for you, you just have to make them. So.
Yeah.
Well, amazingly, we are coming to the end of our time. So first of all, obviously, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I guess my big question for you, and I've always wanted to ask you this, and since we as a podcast have been able to meet Tommy and Mariella, we talk a bit about Tommy's history in when he was on the podcast and how he used to play for artists like Prince and others and etc. But I guess I want to know, what do you think it's like for Tommy to be married to such a huge rock star like yourself?
I knew I liked you, Joel.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, because I find you incredibly fascinating and like you inspire me to do my job better. And I just think you're a cool. We were just talking about, like, you meet people and you're like, oh, I want to be their friend. I hope they notice me. And that's kind of how I feel about pretty much the whole Elm family. But
that's very sweet, Joel. Tommy and I have a very fun, loving relationship. He is, well, as Mariella and Tommy's musical kind of project, the girl who cried different. I am a spreadsheet guru, according to this musical.
mm-hmm.
And Tommy is the feeling one because he's, a musician and a rock star and the artist and all of these things. So I had to also put my plug in that I actually have a lot of feelings as well. I might not always show them. My go-to might be a spreadsheet and making sure we got stuff going on. But, when Tommy and I first started dating, it was all about the yin and the yang, right? So there's an attraction to this, very romantic, musician, artsy, feeling kind of person. And I think he, I was not a groupie. I'll just say that. I was, probably that professional one that was going to work every day in a suit. And, so there was a lot of, we complement each other well. I'll just end it with that.
Yeah, I sure think so. All right. Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for everything that you are doing, that you've done. I know it's obviously professionally, but also from the standpoint of the musical. I know Tommy and Mariella's name is all over it, but as I've been lucky enough to witness over the last 2 weeks, this musical also doesn't get made without you.
Oh, Mom. Yeah. Yeah.
Without you, without Mia, probably without Robbie, but it doesn't, you were absolutely instrumental over the last couple of weeks. And it's going to be very, very exciting to see where this musical goes going forward. And, and I think we're all just really lucky to also have you in the position that you're in, helping families just like all of us are trying to do.
Yeah, your whole family is amazing. Mariella wrote this song or poem at camp, and I was like, oh my gosh, amazing.
Oh my God, the poem.
Such a good role model for my daughter.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. She loves camp, and her sister loves camp. She's going to come back this summer and be a counselor again if she can. Yes. She was in Spain for 2 weeks this past summer, so we couldn't really manage another week away. But yeah, we love what everyone's doing at the WSA and where we can support that as well and find some synergies amongst our organizations. I think that's fantastic. And really, this musical is about Williams syndrome, as much as it is about Mariella's story and as much as it is about Tommy's story. So Williams syndrome is really the forefront of how this came to be and has a really big part in it. So I can't wait to share some of that with you at some point. I'm elated by it for them, and it's been a long time coming. So it's been super fun. And thank you, Joel, too, for everything that you've done to promote it, even back at the Chicago convention. So it's been fun. Takes a village.
Absolutely does. Absolutely does.
This has been the Starry-Eyed Podcast, presented by the Williams Syndrome Association. The show is hosted by Jennifer Keaton and Brendan Lemieux, and produced by me, Joel Listman. Theme song by Tommy Barbarella and Mariella Elm. Got a question for the show? Email us at podcast@williams-syndrome.org or message us at the Starry-Eyed Podcast page on Facebook. Video version of the podcast available on the Williams Syndrome Association channel on YouTube or on Facebook. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or comment on the video version, and maybe it will be featured on a future episode. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Starry-Eyed Podcast wherever you get your podcast delights.